All right. So today, this episode of More Than a Game, I have my very good friend Lance Montano. And just to give you guys, a little overview, the whole objective of this podcast is just giving a lot of people, not only just the youth, but parents, an overview of, the experience beyond baseball. You know, Evidently, you really want to use the game to translate to like life, right? A lot of times they say like baseball has to do with a lot about life, and like all I can remember from my experience of baseball is Lance. Like my first travel organization was created from by your dad
Yeah, for sure.
with the Phenoms, and a lot of the times when I played like elite level baseball was for your father, right, and your father's organization, and just like we can name so much different talent that played through that organization, and many of them played pro ball. So ultimately, the main question I want to ask starting off is, do you remember when you started playing baseball and what sparked that passion of playing baseball?
So funny story, my dad holds it against me like my whole life to this day. And I was about I want to say like 10 or 12 around that age. And I can't remember when I started, right? I remember playing like minor little league t-ball, but I remember the day I remember the most vividly was one day I was in my room and I was just told my dad, I was like, I'm never playing baseball again. Like, I don't want to play baseball, blah, blah. And he was like, you're playing. Like it wasn't really an option. My dad was was very strict like that, but in a good way. And just that year was like my first breaking into my shell. And I was only like 12 years old where I really got to see how good my talent was. And just since then, and I could remember that day vividly, it was like, okay, this is I obviously love the game. I keep on doing it, but that was the moment where I realized that I had a different type of passion for it. That even though I didn't want to, because I had a hard time that I wanted to quit, that I still like to be around the game and still like to practice and things like that. So that's where I could say it all started for me mentally down the next level process.
When do you say, I know we
For
all have
sure.
like this come to life time where it's like it starts clicking to you where all right, now I have to start focusing a little bit more on this game. Like what age was it for you when you start, all right, now I got to start training more, I got to start practicing more. It's not so much like a hobby. It's like, all right, now this is a choice where I really want to pursue this sport.
I think it started pretty young. It started when we were like my dad starting the phenoms and playing for Tony. It started and training with Tony. It started really young because with those two combinations with my dad starting the organization, I always played up and level. I played with the younger team, and then I'll go sit basically on the bench with the older teams just to learn, and then training and Tony's at that time was just like, all the best players were going there. So I kind of realized at a very young age, like this, it wasn't like you could have fun, but you also have to go to work. And my dad always put two together. He's like, this game is to have fun, but it's also serious business. If you're gonna play it, take it serious. So my training, I've always taken seriously. I've always loved the training aspect. So really around the age of 13, 12, I guess when we were 12, I was playing with Stefan and I was playing with Jojo and a couple other guys. We were really good travel team, little league team. We were like 2 games away from Little League World Series. So I've always been around where like if I didn't do well, I wouldn't be playing because my dad was never the dad like he's my son, he's playing. So
Yeah.
I've always took it serious. Practice. My fielding was always something I definitely took serious. My hitting always just kept on coming along, but training it was very young age. Like I really feel like that was a difference maker for me. I've had friends that are just like extremely talented. Like they'll just show up and just be the best guy in the field. And me, it was like I was really good, but I still needed to train and do something different. And winning, like my dad won like 9 championships at Inwood. I won like six, and who really cares at this point? But just that building of a culture around like my family, my brother, my dad. was about like winning. So that fueled me. Like just watching my dad win, and then when I got to finally make it to the majors, like winning, we won like 4 championships in a row. And so going that feeling repetitively, like I didn't want to miss out. I don't remember like my in the juniors, so what's that? That's like 15, 14.
Hmm. Yeah.
We That's when I stopped playing little league, and I from minors to majors I never lost, and that's something that I feel like definitely connected. It's just like, all right, I like this feeling.
Yeah. So
Mm.
you go through little league, right? Sixth, seventh, eighth grade. Now you start thinking about high school. You ended up going to All Hallows High School, but was that always the decision for you, or was that always the case?
That was written in stone, brother. The moment that my brother went there, he went there. He was before me. He graduated in '09, so we're a year. In school we're 3 years. So his senior year was my freshman year. So when he was a junior, they already told me I was going to Hollows. That like it wasn't. I took the tax of that. Pretty much all I had to do was put Hollows one, and then nothing else ever again. So it was pretty much written in stone. I didn't know fully. I just knew my brother was going there. It was definitely a different environment from my public school, middle school, and then going to Ohio's, because even my public school, middle school, computer school, we were really good. I had it was myself, Mikael Mokes, who went to Seton Hall and now is a Dodger scout, and he played professionally. And I had Morgan Phillips, who got drafted out of here in the 13th round, and then went to University of Charleston. That was our middle school team. So it was
Yeah.
us three destroying middle school. It's like then they're like, all right, you're gonna go to Ohio. So yeah, that was it. And then now Gale, Gale for life.
You know what's crazy? Like what one of my the memory that one of the things that stick out the most when I think about like O'Hallows and Mount was the time. So I'm not sure if you were a junior then or senior because I know like Jason Reyes was in varsity early, right? So
Yes.
I wasn't on the Mount varsity team yet, but I remember that we were playing, the Hollows JV team after you guys played your varsity game. So I remember going like I'm watching the game. It was against Mount. It was like head to head, right? It was like really neck and neck, whatever the case is. Like you guys would take the lead, Mount would take the lead, whatever the case is. And then I remember like not saying I was salty, but in my head I was like, damn, bro, like I wish I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like I wish I was on varsity already so I could be playing
Yeah,
in
of
this
course.
moment. So I run to the outfield to start warming up, and then I remember getting to the outfield, and I think Stefan just hit a home run. Like I remember, like I just
A
got
walk
to the
off.
outfield, and like the ball like lands right in front of my foot. And I was like, "What the hell?" And then Stefan had hit the walk off. So
That was on MSG Varsity that game. We were on
yeah,
TV that game. And it's funny because going into that game, we were really good that year. I think that's the year we made it to championship. And we were really good. But there was no school. That's what it was. There was no school that day. And for some reason we just kind of knew that we were kind of gonna get in a dogfight. And Chuck said it just because, no school, you start relaxing, you don't have focus all day, so you just have to show up and be ready to go. And that game was a real dogfight. Jaquil hit a double, took the lead. I hit it was a home run because you know how Mount had the fence back then with the pole,
yeah,
and I hit the back of the pole, which is over the fence, so they count as a double. And then Stefan hit the walk off. So yeah, that was intense.
yeah. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Me too, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, you guys. I mean, that was probably by far one of Ohalo's best team ever.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because like people don't know and why, and we're kind of in the day and age of transferring and reclassing and leaving places where people don't understand what it took to get there. Like we didn't win, and we could have won so many championships. My freshman year, I had Alexis Torres on our team, Davian Canales, and Jesus Medina. Talking about three top guys. We went 0 and whatever the season. I think we won one game my freshman year. And Chuck came into the dinner, the award ceremony that year, and he said, "Whoever stays is gonna win a championship." He said, "I promise you that." We didn't win. But the next year, my dad was like, told Ernie told Jason, it just the whole ripple effect got there.
Yeah,
And so we came in and I had an opportunity to play varsity, but Chuck's like, listen, you're not gonna play as much, but you could be a leader on the future team that's gonna be yours. And so we took that team, the JV team that year, we made a run for it. And then junior year we went to championship. So it just kind of it always, I guess for me, it's always difficult to see like a team struggle one year and then the whole thing fall apart instead of like how can we build from within. And I understand, like, the game has changed. You have so many different things going on that a kid needs to worry about his future. But that's how that happened. Like people, you see the banner and like that's one of like the most talked about teams because we're such a small school. And we had Stephen, we had James Norwood. That guy was like an animal. So it's like it didn't happen. It didn't happen overnight. Not
yeah,
even close. It happened through a lot of bad days and all. I was like, I thought I was gonna leave. My dad was like, no, you're staying
yeah.
here.
Yeah, that's one thing too. Like I remember that, like the Jason Reyes class, Pacheco, all these guys, the Phoenix class. Like I remember
Yeah,
seeing Chuck, and like the plan was, all right, we're gonna take this whole team, the Phenoms team, and we're gonna go to All Hallows. Which, like I said, it was on my roadmap, but I kind of was like in my head, I kind of wanted to go the route like myself. Like I wanted,
yeah.
what, like let me try this. Let me go to Mount. I had some friends at Mount already in one of the cases. So I always thought about it like, damn, how would things would have been if like I ended up at Ohio was playing with those guys for sure. I mean, I love Mount, like I'm at Mount today too, but like I said, I remember vividly like the amount of talent that went to that program that year. I mean, the following year with you guys, and then after that with Jason and all these guys, like it was a lot of talent. I mean, to think that like Jason was like one of the main pitchers there alone. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
spotty time in the infield with these top guy infielders, and then him just
it was.
pitching, which I always felt like, dude, the dude was like super underrated on the mound.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was. If it wasn't for James Norwood, who ended up being an MLB player, it was like he was there. He was the ace.
Yeah, yeah,
Nobody could have touched him in high school for sure. Even throughout his career, he was a fantastic pitcher. I love Jason, and that was a close. It was a very close knit group, and we definitely built from it within. Ohio's is was very strict. Rest in peace, Sean Sullivan, our principal. He taught us that we had to play a certain way, and it all started in the classrooms. Like when spring season came around, you couldn't find a baseball player messing around. It was like, hey,
yeah,
I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna relax in my seat. Don't try to get me in trouble. I'm trying to play and if you didn't show up the day before, he wasn't playing. Just a lot of rules that, like you were saying earlier, kind of contributes to my life now, where I know what I do the day before matters to the next day, and just continue. Like I can't think about a tournament that I don't go and think who I have pitching throughout the whole week, not just tomorrow. And then now with the pitch count, okay, I got 25 from him. I can't go past this. So it definitely helped structure how I even go about 5TP these days.
yeah. So you go your 4 years of high school at O'Hallows. Now you start looking for colleges. So walk me through that process a little bit. Like what
Whew.
schools were you looking at? If there was any coaches showing interest, like how was that looking like for you?
So my dad, love that guy. I love him so much. He never stopped. Like if I wanted to quit, I didn't have a choice. Like he never stopped. We recorded everything. This is about the time. I want to say it seemed I think he was just getting into Skyline, so he was able to use the field. So we record videos, and I would send them out to every single coach. Like I think every single coach in the nation has got an email from me, and just my hitting, my fielding, in game, running. Every coach has gotten an email from me. So my dad and I just created our own highlight tape, send them out. I was getting a couple inches here there, a lot of D2s, a couple D3s. without really knowing as much as you know now. So my first visit was to Mount Olive University, D2 in North Carolina. And when I tell you this story, my hair started coming up because this kind of shaped me into the man I am today. Where I went there, my dad drove, we drove together, go there, sleep at the hotel. The next day, I had practice in front of the coaches. I do well. I thought I did well. I do. I went to watch the game. I said, "Oh my goodness, this is the place I want to be at." Thought everybody was great. Come home. I'm thinking, all right, this is it. Call like a week or two later. I get a call. Hey man, we just don't think that you fit in our program right now. We think you should go junior college and build your body right, build a couple skill sets, and give us a call. I was heartbroken. I just completely distraught. I was in my room, just sad. I thought, I thought from there, like nobody was going to like me. And just to segue, and it's funny because when I was 14, I went to an MLB camp in Colorado. I don't know if you remember that. No, I think I was like 12, 13. We was with the Phenoms. We used to playing in Stevenson. I went to Colorado for a month. And at the end, I still have this to this day. At the end, they gave you a progress report, and it said never gonna play no higher than the JUCO. That's what they told a 12-year-old. I don't know how they know that, but and I
Yeah,
kept
yeah,
it. And so fast forward back to Mount Olive, and it didn't work out. My dad's like, "Don't worry about it, blah blah." Like, don't worry about it. You're gonna be all right. Keep on playing. Season's still going on. Keep on playing. This is my senior year, so see how guys now have like they come in freshman, sophomore. I went to my senior year, no clue. So we're still playing, and we're good. So we're going on a run, and we were playing St. Joe's by the Sea at Fordham. And my dad called me saying, "Hey, the school in California, junior college, Skyline College, they're interested in you. They got your video. They seen your swing." My dad told me this before the game. He's like, "Don't worry
yeah,
about it." He said, "Trust me, we're gonna be okay." They got like 2 hits that day. Call Dino Namikos, great guy, my head coach. He's retired now. Skyline College is in San Francisco, San Bruno area, Northern California. He comes and flies to New York to come see me, hang out, took me to dinner, took my family out to dinner, me and Davian. And that's where I started. I started over there at Skyline, and I did my 2 years. Um, so that's the beginning of it. I could definitely keep going for those 4 year process.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's the beginning of that.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to pinpoint too. How I mean, that's a big move, right? Like Northeast kid, inner city kid. Now you out to San Francisco. So like, how was that adjustment for you?
I want to say there was difficult times. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. One, because like I truly believe, and I've heard it once from one of my teachers back in Ohio. It's like you are the company you keep, and who you have around you kind of just creates who you are. So I always had friends like you. My friends that I have now are pretty much the same friends I had back then. I never really expanded unless I went to college and then you became my friends there. So knowing that I have friends like that that are pursuing baseball too. So they're doing their own thing. They're leaving the state. They're going upstate. They're going somewhere to play baseball was always easier. I went with one of my close friends, Davian. So that wasn't as hard. But what was difficult was the hard time. So it wasn't hard going there, but when it got hard and when the season got difficult, then everything started getting difficult because you can't just come home and talk to your mom, talk to your dad, eat a home cooked meal.
Yeah,
You kind of just going through the grind. You don't see family, just a familiar face that just makes you happy. So going JUCO was best thing that ever happened to me, most difficult thing that ever happened. Going to San Francisco, getting my own apartment at 17 years old, being a New York kid, you know, learning a whole new game of baseball was very difficult in the sense of being consistent. I learned in Skyline how to be a different beast while playing. Right? I thought, oh, these guys over here don't got nothing on me. I'll do what I have to do. Come to scrimmages, first guy's throwing like 90 something. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now things are getting serious. But I always played with confidence, so you can never see it, even if I was a little nervous. So my freshman year, getting my body in shape, that was the first thing that changed my career. I go there, we're running hills, just like I'm dying. And our winter meetings come up, so we're about to leave, fall finish. And the first day, they told me, like, you need to, all this that you worked on needs to keep into the season. And that's when I learned nutrition. I was like, working out and not eating right, it's almost pointless. And I didn't know that because I'm young and my body's just gonna like burn, it's gonna burn. But there'll be times I didn't feel good. So I'm just like, okay. And I needed it to be consistent. So that's when I finally took my eating, because there's, and you know me, I'll would I love to run all the time? No, but I would do it. Like I never told coach
yeah,
I wouldn't do 10, 20 hills. You tell me to do 30, I'll do it. I wouldn't love it. Like, no, whoever says they does is a little crazy in the head, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll still do it. And my eating habits weren't terrible, but they weren't perfect. They weren't perfect. You watch these guys on TV, right? And I'm watching college baseball. And then I go to see these places. These kids are eating everything right all the time. It's like, how can you not be in tip top shape? And you wonder, like, how these kids so big. I went to LSU this November that passed, and they're telling me once they finish lifting, they walk through the locker room and they have food there and they have their shakes. I'm like, of course, like that's you're gonna do well. Me, I
Yeah,
went
yeah.
JUCO, I had to do it myself, right? And
Right.
it kind of, you talk to any JUCO guy, it's a sense of pride that comes with it. You do everything yourself. You learn. I had great coaches. My hitting coach is John Quintel. He played for the Yankees. He owns like every California JUCO record hitting. So I learned a lot from him. So that was pretty much my JUCO. My sophomore year, I really turned it to the next level. I came in ready to go. I think I hit 4 home runs the first month, no, the first 3 weeks of the season. I was already getting looked at by D1s already, and I was hitting well. I just had a different understanding of the game. After that freshman year, you kind of just tap into that next level. And then you're just like, okay, that's that's what you start when you hit the weight room more, you start running way more, you just
Start, growing into your body a little bit older.
yeah, you start growing to your brain. You start understanding like why some guys are just way more successful. 'Cause you can look just like them, and just they're more successful because they're understanding what's going on here and translating out there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So then you go your 2 years of Skyline, and then what are your next steps?
So after the 2 years, I was getting offers from a couple D1s. I decided to go to Coppin State in Maryland. It was a rough time for me. It was a rough time for me, and the reason being was really no excuse. It just I couldn't figure out. Like me and the hitting coach weren't intertwining, and I just couldn't figure out my swing. I played a great defense, which I always tried to do, but it was rough. I didn't like just the way that it was going. I have no like bad intentions towards anybody there. They actually they're doing very well. I love what they're doing. I want to I send a couple guys over there, so I just keep on sending guys there. And I say this because you always hear kids asking another kid like, "Oh, how's it over there?" And if they're not doing well, they'll tell you it sucks. They're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
great, they'll tell you the best place on earth is Disneyland.
yeah,
And I always tell people it's about your own experience. So when people say, "Oh, how was Coppin State?" I said, for me, my experience is not gonna be your experience. I know guys that batted 400 and hit 10, 12 home runs and were first conference and tell you it's the best place ever. It's
yeah,
your experience and accountability. I didn't hit well, So I wasn't having fun, and we weren't winning. And so that was just a combination. And we had a fantastic lineup, and I could just go down the list of guys that are just end up playing pro ball, and just we just didn't mesh together. It was it was very difficult because the expectations you have for Division One is, to some people it's the best place and that's the top tier, and you realize it's not. It it's all dependent on you. It really is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then, like I told you before, that's one of the things that like you kind of put in perspective to me because I remember like you when we see each other like during the off seasons, like the holidays, whatever the case is, like you put that perspective in me, right? It's like it's always D1 or nothing, but sometimes it's like not every D1 is going to be the best fit for you, and we see that many times, right? I
Yeah.
think there's a bunch of our friends that ended up in top Division 1 programs, but then ended up going somewhere else because it just wasn't the fit for them, and then that's completely fine, right? Like I understand like the whole transfer portal thing nowadays, but at a certain point too, like if the program is not going to fit you, you're not going to be happy, then it might not be the best decision to stay there.
Yeah, and for me, it was very difficult to ask for my transfer because I love the people there. The people are fantastic, and as I gotten older, I kind of taken my own accountability to that just because of the person I am. I'm like, well, maybe if I batted 300, I wouldn't not ask for my transfer papers. Maybe
Yeah, yeah,
if I hit a couple more home runs, I would have not. So it's all about perspective, but it's definitely not D1 or nothing. I My best year was in Division 1, and the most successful as a team was in as a Division 1 team. So like when I was at Skyline, we used to play Division 1s and we'll win all the time.
yeah. So how do you end up in Ohio?
Oof. I took my kids there, my team. We went there last year because there was a showcase, and they were like, "How did you do this?" So I played my last year, University of Rio Grande. If you want to find this place, you're gonna have to pull up the map of Ohio, and you're gonna have to go right on the bottom where Kentucky is, and then you're gonna see Athens, Ohio, where Ohio University is. And you got to go down 30 minutes to find a one-stop light town called Rio Grande. My whole time going out there, I thought it was Rio Grande, and when I show up there, there's a shirt that people wear saying it's not pronounced Rio, it's pronounced Rio. And right
Right.
there, I was like, boom. I was like, all right, this is definitely different. Nothing but cornfields and things like that. And I got there, asked for my transfer papers, and I got there, and just once the news went into that I was transferring, I was looking to leave. Brad Warmont called me right away. He was like, "Son, we need you here. They just won the conference tournament last year, and they made a run to the almost to the World Series, the NAIA World Series." He's like, "We need you here. We're looking for a big bat guy in the middle of the lineup." He's telling me hitting philosophy and never visit the school. Don't even know what the school looks like. It's like, tell me hitting philosophy, tell me who's coaching there, who's the hitting coach, who's the GA. And I was like, I told my dad actually that I didn't want to play after my junior year. After Coppin State, I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, that's it. I lost the love for the game. That's what I told him. My exact words, I said, I don't love it anymore. So before I even get there, I went to go play summer ball collegiately in San Francisco for the San Francisco Seagulls. When I tell you it was the most fun I've ever had playing baseball was with those guys. It was just like fun on the field 24/7. I just had a great summer. They knew who I was because I did juke over there, I left. So they knew who I was. They knew I was a good baseball player, and they were all JUCO guys. Like we had a couple D1 guys, but they were all JUCO guys, and they had just a fun time playing. So that's where my love started coming back. Where it felt good to be on the field again. The first day I landed was on my birthday, May 30th, and we had a game that day. And I had 4 hits, and after the game, they're playing the music, they're
Mm,
having fun about like
that's cool.
happy birthday and everything. So it was fun, and so that built the love for a game. Where I was like, okay, I'll start looking for schools again. go to University of Rio Grande. They are already champions, right? There's the champions of the conference. Very good coach, very good ball players, and I go there, and the D1 transfer, everybody D1 transfer, but I was quiet. Yeah, and people who know me know that like if I really don't talk much about myself, and I was quiet because I knew that it wasn't no difference, right? Like you had to, some people had to go to that level and go Division 1, and then if you're if you're not in the Power Five, and not even that, now with the transfer portal, which that's why I kind of am a fan of it. Mid majors are gonna make a huge run for this World Series. I think this World Series we're gonna see a lot of it, but this was about 8 years ago, so a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
different, right? So I knew that one, I didn't have a successful year, so I wasn't gonna go in there talking about like I'm Division 1 and blah 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 when I didn't do well. And secondly, I watched them practice, and I'm like, these guys are good. Like so I never even spoke about it. I never spoke about it, and our practices were just like legit. And so we had a freshman. Harvey's probably gonna hate that I tell this story. So we had a freshman who was throwing like 90. Ray, we just started scrimmages. First at bat, 3-2. I hit him. I take him out. Just hit a home run. And this guy, Cody Blackburn, he was a sophomore. He was thinking he was gonna come in and start. He didn't think that they were gonna go get a transfer, so he didn't like me. And we're going like at it all fall. Like if there was a lift, we were trying to outlift each other, which it sparked a whole new like competitive nature that I
yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
find after Coppin State. And we'll play a scrimmage, he'll hit a home run, and I swear to you now, if I could add him to this call, I'll hit a home run the same day. And so it just kept on happening. He'll be pissed. And he wouldn't talk to me. Like we were not friends until the season came around. Just fast forward to rewind later. The season came around and I was hitting. Coach had him in the lineup. And then we were just like in the back of the bus one day. I was like, dude, I said, I know you didn't like me in the beginning of the year. He goes, of course not. He's like, I thought I was going to be starting. I said, but look, he was like, I said, you took your game. He said, I become a whole new player because he thought that he was going to come in easy. And I never go in thinking like the position's mine.
yeah,
So, but I knew like I had some competition, and it doesn't matter if you're senior or not. And that just drove us like, I, I'm gonna come back to it, but made me like a completely different player. But for Rio, we had our freshman throwing 90. Our catcher is with the Pirates right now. He was a freshman. Our shortstop, all conference every year. Our center fielder, Carlos, was a beast. Third baseman was 2-time player of the year. Our left fielder raked. So it was a team that we were just legit, so legit that we went to Ohio University and we played them every year. And we smoked them the first game, and they were
wow,
throwing somebody 94.
yeah,
We smoked them. And so I was like, that's when everything that I felt like I was saying is true, where it's not Division 1 or nothing, because as you could, and especially now with Twitter and everything, you could watch St. Thomas Aquinas, NAIA, go play FIU. They beat LSU last year.
yeah,
Like they beat them 2 games. You have Southeastern, I guess guys drafted every year. That's where D. Gordon went. They're a beast team in Florida. You got Georgia Gwinnett. Coach Sheets is one of the top coaches in the nation. And it's funny because Coach Sheets only recruits JUCO guys. He doesn't even get high school guys. Only top JUCO guys go to Georgia Gwinnett. And because he knows the type of players he get, he doesn't have to really develop them anymore. They're ready to go.
yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
so with Rio, we win conference tournament. We make a run. We played. We played. I forgot what, to Faulkner, I think, in the regionals. We lost, but the guys that are playing with were just like legit guys. And I'm just like, this is what pushed me to where I was going with Cody. Was like, I got first team All American. Gold Glove, which is like my favorite award ever, because I'm like, that's, it takes a lot of work to win a Gold Glove.
Mhm.
Conference tournament player of the year, like, or team. That was just at Rio. That was just about winning, just like fun. And like to rewind, that's what I was used to. I lost that because when I was young, all I knew was winning. And
Yeah.
so when I went to Coppin, we weren't winning, and now I was confused. I don't mind doing bad. Like, obviously, I don't want to do bad, but I don't mind doing bad, and we're winning 20, 30 games and 40 games. I'm like, okay, like I can contribute other ways. But then when I'm doing bad and everybody's doing bad and we're losing, it's not fun. I
Yeah,
always tell the
it's
guys on
tough.
my team, yeah, there's nothing better than winning. Like you could that's how I feel. Something better than winning. You could live with the 0 for 4 days when the team wins. It's when it's 0 for 4 and you're losing, and you're like, what did I do to contribute? I didn't do anything. That's why
Yeah.
we lost. So that was my time at Rio. It was fantastic. I developed my hitting coach was Christian Frias, who was Roberto Alomar's nephew, who's now the hitting coach with the Orioles. My other hitting coach was John Kep, who's now the head coach at Indiana Wesleyan. So just like, I was surrounded by some great, great baseball.
Yeah. And that's an interesting perspective where, when you're in a team that's like deep, right? There's a lot of talent. There's multiple ways you can look at it where it's like, oh well, this guy's my comp and like fold, or like, all right, this guy's my comp. Let's push each other to like bring the best out of each other. Which that's how like it really should be. It's like there's multiple guys in your
Yeah.
position, a lineup's deep. Instead of taking it like, oh, this guy's here to take my spot, it's like, no, all right, this guy's here to make me better because now I have to perform a little bit better to fight for a spot. Which honestly, like,
Because
you
what
should never. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm listening. Go, go.
No, I'm saying like it's a bad thing to have a mindset. Like if you're walking into any team, whether you're a senior or you're a returner, whether it's high school baseball or travel ball, like if you have the mindset of, oh, this is my team, this is my spot, regardless, you're never gonna get better. You're never gonna get better.
Never. What sense would it make for a coach to not recruit multiple people at position? Because there is down years for people. So am I supposed to, just because I like you, supposed to just let you play and struggle? That doesn't make sense. And that was the thing with Cody, and he told me himself, it was like he felt very comfortable, and I pushed him. I pushed him and he pushed me. I was a senior. I'm like, all right, I'm done after this year anyways. But I saw the kid was like he was ready to take my spot.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was no joke ready to take my people on our team would tell me, like, when they, because he lived in the house and I lived in the dorms, that he'll go home talking about like how he didn't like me and he wanted my spot. He was very determined to do that.
yeah. No, I know Ohio went really good. I didn't think I was ever gonna see you back here in New York. Like I really thought that you were gonna stay in Ohio forever.
uh,
Like for real.
Wait
So
until we
then
get to
after
that part.
Ohio, when does like the whole pro ball thing, like did you have a chance to play pro ball in Ohio, or where did that start for you?
So, and I hope whoever listens to this and wants to play after college understands that they are not coming to you. If you're not on the guys who are playing on TV, you have to go make a name out for yourself. So how I started was I finished. Um, our head coach was associate head scout for Red Sox, whose best friend was the area scout for Ohio. So he told me to go to this showcase, and then I went to California Winter League, and I just dominated there. Funny story. Well, while we go there, I went to California Winter League, and there's a whole bunch of guys trying to get signed, and I was referred there. We're playing this team, and their coach is his name is Boots Day. He was the bench coach, the first base coach for Evansville Otters, and he played for the Expos back in, like, I don't even know. Boots will hate me if I tell him, but like 1920s maybe. Boots was an old guy
Yeah,
still
yeah.
coaching, but Faced this guy who got drafted by the Mets, hit a home run off of him. I'm like, all right, I feel good. I felt good the whole winter. I worked really hard that year in the off season, and coming off of my successful Rio season, I just felt like I was the man. We're staying in the hotels. A fire alarm goes off that day, and I'm just in my room. I'm just chilling. I stay in my room, blah blah blah. I go back to the stadium the next day, and all the coaches bring me in to the office. We're talking about Evansville, all the Frontier League coaches or indie ball coaches. So Frontier League, Evansville Otters, Lake Erie, Alberta, all the managers are there, and they come in like, hey, sit down. There was a fire alarm that was pulled yesterday. We got on camera that it was you. Uh, and my New York side came in. I'm like, me. I look at them. I'm like, couldn't be me. I said I was in my room. I said it wasn't me. You got the wrong guy. They're like, we're gonna have to send you home. Like this, we saw it on camera. It's you. So I'm like, my heart drops. I'm like, what do you mean, you guys? Like, I'm all the way over here to play, and they pull out a piece of paper, and it's my contract, my first ever contract. Like, oh, we're just messing with you. I
Oh
was like one
wow.
of those. Yeah, I was like, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
goodness, I want to kill somebody. And we had a game right after. My manager was like, yo, I can't put you to play because you're just not in the right headspace.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's how I signed my first contract, was
Wow.
through that story. But in between that was a lot of like people who were close around me at the time, like my boy Arthur, who lived in Ohio, and then my friends. I was driving, I was driving to tryouts in the middle of the night. I'm talking about I was living with my boy in Southeast Ohio at Rio. He had an apartment. And let's say there was a tryout for the Gateway Grizzlies all the way in Illinois. I was leaving at 3 a.m. with a jug of coffee and a car to drive there to play that same day, play and drive back all the way. We're talking about 4 or 5 hours to get some sleep back to my boy's house. And if there was another tryout the next week, I was going to Windy City, which is in Chicago, or then I was going to Joliet, or I was going to Indiana. I was doing that stuff. So I tell people, you can't fake you can't fake the grind. And for me, I always tell my brothers, there is no such thing as grind. A grind is like my mom being an immigrant who came over here and then made something of herself, is a successful person in the Department of Education. That's a grind, and having two kids and still going back to school and graduating and getting a degree. To me, I think the mindset saying that there's somebody, I'm deciding to do this. This is a sport.
Yeah.
And so it didn't feel like a grind. And that's why I'd never say like I was part of the grind. That's not really grinding. I just wanted it. Like I wanted to feel like I did everything I could. So when I decided that even if I didn't get signed, I did everything. I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning, driving back. Dude, I used to drive I drove from California to Ohio, and my beat up Honda, and no lights in the middle of Utah. I'm waking up, not even waking up. I used to sleep in the gas station for 2 hours. And when the sun came back up, I was in the middle of the Colorado Rockies with the snow. I had pictures and everything. That's how much I loved the game. It wasn't a grind, because the grind's like something you do because you have to and you kind of
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
like it. That's how much I loved, and I still do love baseball, where it's like I had to do it. I had to do. My mom was like, "Oh, are you okay?" I was just like, it wasn't nothing but love. It was like, okay, wake up, 2 o'clock. I'm like, I got a cup of coffee. Let's get back and I'll play. It's not like I'll stay in a hotel. A lot of people don't know that. They kind of. I don't really use social media for my personal stuff. I just use it for the business. But a lot of people don't know that time where I was really just, for lack of better words, for other people, grinding. I was just like,
Yeah, yeah.
I was out there just trying to play baseball. I wasn't trying to say, "Hey, woe's me and come see me play. I'm so good, so people should come see me play." I want to show people what they're
Yeah.
missing out. I'll go over there and go show you. And so it kind of brings, vivid memories of what it took to get there. And I don't think a lot of people speak that, especially the big leaguers. I think they keep that to themselves, and their stories. I know a lot of them have gone through some intense stuff to get there. And I think the more that we speak about that, the more realistic the goal becomes. If to that person, to that player, to that youth player, we're like, okay, if you want to play, this is it. So I hope
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
watches that and just know, like, this is what you really are getting yourself into. You're not getting yourself into that $1 million, multi-million dollar house just because you're playing. Guys in the minor leagues hate it. They hate
Yeah.
that life where it's just, and they're getting treated better now, but they don't get treated as good. So
Yeah.
that's how I got signed to Evansville Otters.
Yeah.
Long story, but that's how I got there.
For sure. I mean, it's kind of, I said it with Frank in the first episode. It's, you think that it's all glitz and glam, but like you said, lack of better term, it is a grind, right? Or it's, you got to be willing to get treated like shit, to make it. And even then, it's like, yeah, I mean, I'd never played any ball, but like, better than me. It's like there's just no room for error, right? Not only did you have to travel long hours to get where you got to be, but then be able to perform at a high level with 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours sleep, or a good night of sleep, but then you're still in a car for 4 or 5
No
hours driving
food,
to
no
where you got to be.
nutrition, just coffee and it's really just like the I was just about to say it's really just how bad you want it, how far are you willing to go, and when you get to there, how much further are you willing to go? Because it gets even deeper to that, right? I got signed, and my man, the guy who signed me, Boots Day, said you got to come back. You need to come to spring training at, I think he said 215 pounds. That's when I linked up with you, and we started training, and he that was my goal, right? To lose weight and keep my power because I was struggling to find that balance. And when I get there, it was I'm thinking that since I signed, I'm guaranteed to the season. No, only a spring training signing. And so they had another guy, and I get another story for me to kind of prevail and fight adversity. They had a guy. He was at UConn, hit 22 home runs. This was my competition. He's at first base, at third base. Um, I'm the NAI guy who had to prove himself, had to drive around, had to go, and I stood quiet. One thing, like what I want kids to understand, the point of being a rookie or a new guy is stay quiet. And I stood quiet. This guy, he wasn't a bad guy. He just liked to talk, and it
Yeah.
could rub some veterans the wrong way. And those guys matter when final decision to be made. So my first game in spring training, double off the wall, right center, double to left field, base hit, and nope. And everybody's like, and BP, I'm just hitting moonshots, just moonshots all the time. And even one of the veterans, like, oh, I see you there, rookie. Still quiet. Next game, another double, base hit during practices. I'm doing what I gotta do. Boom, boom, boom. And I hear, so everybody who knows pro ball, there's somebody who's the Grim Reaper. So he comes in, he gives you your pink slip, you get release, you're done, see you, you're out. And every day, I'm just hoping he doesn't come to my locker. He walks into the door, I put my head down. Like, that's gonna make a difference. I
Yeah.
put my
Yeah.
head
Yeah.
down so he don't see me like it was gonna matter.
Yeah.
And just guys getting slips. And I keep going. I keep on making it. And news gets to me, and mind you, news gets to me that the guy I was competing with, he was my roommate in the hotel. We were roommates, and they're like, oh, that he was like, I feel bad for Lance because he's such a good guy, but he's not gonna make the team. Again, one year out the other. That's just who I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
I just go back to work, keep going, show up, do my thing, and Final cuts, he got released, and I made the team. And the veteran Josh Allen, two-time league MVP, still playing to this day. The man, he told me, I was like, me and him became close friends. He didn't speak a single word to me the whole time. And I made the team. And he said, "Hey, welcome to the team." I said, "Hey, why you don't talk to me?" Like, he goes, "The more you play, you're gonna realize that rookies come and go." He said, "The ones who stay quiet, stay." And after that, me and him became close friends. So that was my testament to even making the team in Enville, and then to stay on the team because they could cut you. It's not like a contract for the year; they
Yeah,
could
yeah,
cut
yeah.
you every single
Any
day,
any
and
second, yeah.
any second. That's freaking another real quick story was we playing, and I don't even remember. It's a cornfield. They're called something like they're a corn. They wore yellow. The hotel looked like a haunted mansion. People got sick because the carpets looked like just
Mhm.
old carpets. And so we're playing, and I drop a foul ball. Oh my gosh, Ryan never got chewed out so bad. I dropped a foul ball, and I'm just praying. You know when you make an error, and you're just hoping your pitcher just lights out after that, so run the
Yeah,
score.
yeah, yeah.
Base hit, run scores. I go, I said, "Oh my goodness!" And I start walking back to the dugout. It's not PG-13. I start running back to the dugout, and so it's a long dugout with three entrances. I try to go to one all the way to the end. My manager is following me to the end. I try to go to one in the middle. He followed me into the middle, and then he just got me there. He's like, "Sit down." He said, "Montano, if you drop another effing fly ball, you're gonna be on the first bus back home." And that's all I thought about all day. I was like, "Damn, I said, I can't drop another fly ball." Ninth inning comes, we're down by one. We're away. I hit my second home run of the season, a moonshot. I come back to the dugout. My hitting coach, Bobby Siegel, goes, "Well, aren't you lucky you hit that home run? Because you probably would have got released after this game." And I was like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's when it hit me. I'm like, "Oh, this is all performance based. This is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all the same buddy buddy." It's like you gotta be, you could be dugout guy definitely saved me because it was tough as a rookie who just played. I broke the school record at Rio for most game played, most at bats, most games started. And I started off my rookie year batting like 300, 320 because the guy in front of me, the guy who was actually first baseman, Alejandro, he was big leaguer. Dude played 5 years in Japan, got drafted from the Rays when he was 16. So he knew how to hit. He was hurt. So I'm raking 320. I'm like, oh, it don't matter if this guy comes back. I better be
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
starting. He comes back the first day, whoop, right to the bench. And I'm like,
Wow.
and I'm upset. I'm furious. And I just couldn't understand why. And then I start watching. The dude he looked like a big leaguer. And he hit like a big leaguer. When he hit the ball just jumped far. He wasn't hitting singles, he was hitting doubles and home runs every single time. And I'm just trying to do my thing. I'm bringing a BP. I'm just hitting moonshots. In the games that I get a chance, I'm getting a hit. And still pitch hit. Not even pitch hit. These kids don't even get. Not even pitch hit, Brian. I was defender in the ninth inning because I played a better defense than him. So I was
Yeah, yeah.
go play defense in the ninth
Yeah,
inning. So
defensive
you wait
specialist in the ninth.
all
Yeah.
day. So you go from a guy who's starting every single day and leading a team, and you go to pro ball. You make the team. You're still hitting. You're still producing to the bench to defensive specialist, and it rocked my world. It took me such a long time to understand what I was doing, but thank you. Alejandro was like a great mentor, a great leader, and he was like, "Dude," he said, "don't worry about it." He said, "This I'm not even gonna be there next year." He said, "You just need to keep on learning." And what it was my manager was I was hitting home runs in BP again, and he goes, because in the games I went on a little streak where I was just hitting singles. He's like, "I pay you to do that, not hit me singles. Because then I started establishing in my head, everybody has a role. If I'm not a speed guy, I'm at first. This ain't college or high school. I can't just, ain't no pass balls.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't get to second because I'm not stealing on anybody's arm. So a double was the only thing I was good for. A single, I
Yeah.
wasn't good for anything. So the next guy has to hit a double. So that's when I was like, okay, that's my role, and I'm not doing it. That's what it is. He's doing it. He knows how to do it. So that was another thing about pro ball that definitely, taught me a lot about the game. And I have a lot of great players that know how to hit. Like Lennox Rondon is such a great hitter, and I'm tough on him. I'm very tough on him because I see what I used to do in him and know how to hit and everything. But he's my four hitter. He's my four
Yeah.
hitter, so he needs to bring me runs in. He can't strike out looking. He can't just put the ball on the ground when there's a run on third. So these are the things I'm teaching him early to even
Yeah.
fast forward to fight to be. But that was my indie ball start in my career, and it was definitely something that instilled my life and
Yeah,
just
for
in
sure.
general.
And I know,
Yeah,
like, even when if you go back to like what instilled those, the characteristics and the work ethic. I know playing when we played for USC and we were playing with like Julio for a little bit. Like I remember Julio being the first one saying, this is not vacation. Like these trips to this tournament, this trips to that tournament. We're driving here, 16 hours to East Cobb, whatever the case is. This is not vacation. This is like a
it's
business
not.
trip.
Hmm.
Like this is a business trip. And that's when it started hitting me like, wow, like, this is now no longer, I mean, now you see it all the time. Like you see all these travel organizations pay to play, you know, not saying back then, like sounding like we're old, but like back then there was no pay to play. Like
Yeah.
there was not many travel organizations, and the travel organizations that were legit, you really had to try out for, and you really had to make it. You really had to make it, and
There
if
was
you
only
weren't
one
playing well,
ranking. There was only
yeah,
one ranking, and it didn't go past 10, and that was perfect game. And you had to be a different type of animal to be ranked there. There wasn't no PBR. There wasn't no
hmm,
whatever. You couldn't be if you weren't top 10. You wasn't playing on no East Cobb or Canes
yeah,
Nationals.
yeah, for
There's no.
sure.
You was not
I
doing
want
it.
to I want to bring up to you. I don't know if you remember. So I think I want to say it was the Atlanta Braves. Remember that little tryout that we had? It was I don't
Yeah.
even know what high school was. I think it was Clinton or
It,
whatever the
it, it
case
was
is.
it was at yeah it was at Clinton. It was at Clinton.
And that kind of it was so weird to me because and it's kind of crazy, right? I don't know if things are different. It might be different now with the whole technology and whatnot, but
Yeah.
it's like that trial was all like an eye test, right? It was like the old school tryouts. I mean scouts, and then the dudes that passed on to the second round, I'll never forget it. It was like this one dude ran a crazy 60, right? God
I
bless
remember
him,
that dude.
right? His
Yeah.
60-yard dash was crazy, but didn't field one ground ball, couldn't throw one ground ball to the first baseman correctly. But he made like, all right, the people I want to see hit are these guys. And like I remember they didn't even give you a chance to hit. Like it was crazy to me. And it's kind of shows like at that time how hard it was to even like get on the map a little bit because it was a little bit of a mixture of like yeah for sure old school scouts for sure you gotta love them, they mean well, of course they know a lot, but can you just imagine how much talent in the city went overlooked
Oh,
because of whatever the case was, like to not give, I always said to not give you a chance to like even swing, that you could have changed your whole trajectory of your
yeah.
career by just watching you take one swing, and they didn't even give you a chance to swing for no reason, just because that specific week scouts were could have been, oh yeah, I'm not really here to look for a first baseman, I'm not really here to look for a third baseman, I'm
Just
either
looking
looking
for
for
somebody that
yeah,
runs.
yeah, for sure, looking for
Yeah.
somebody to run, which
I
was
always tell
crazy to me.
people, all my friends, if PBR was around, all of my friends would have been ranked. Every single dude I practiced with would have been a top 10 player without even
Yeah, for
a
sure.
question. I'm not even talking about myself. I'm just talking about dudes that I trained with. Like,
Yeah,
imagine Alexis Torres with a PBR. Dude threw 90 at freaking 15 years old. He would have, and those are things that kids are taking for granted. But imagine, just like, I hate to sound like an old guy, but just imagine if those
yeah,
guys, George Washington at that time, where you had Nelson and Fernellis, and then you have Andrew Velasquez getting drafted out of high school without none of that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I'm mad. They would have been first. Nelson Rodriguez is a grown man playing baseball at 16 years old. He probably would have been a first rounder if there
Yeah.
was a PBR states games for things like it was only what they played in. Thank God
Yeah.
bless them, and I love them as brothers. They got to play in the all of the Aflac All American games and stuff. Imagine they had more games. Nelson even hit a home
Hmm.
run in that game. Imagine they got to play in PBR states, and then they go to East Con. Then they dudes are playing in Truist Park in the Braves now. That is something I always all my friends, everything we would have been ranked at least in New York. Every
Yeah.
single we would
No,
it
and
would
then
have
that's
been
a that.
1 through 50. Everybody knew.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's something that these kids today got to take. They're never gonna understand that, but
Hmm.
it is kind of easier now to get those opportunities. Like it's easier than ever for multiple reasons, right? Like yeah, you can
Oh,
use social
for
media
sure.
to make a video. Not only like you had to pay somebody $500 to get a video, right? Like it was to get to have a camera that worked well because the iPhones and all.
And
I
there
mean,
was
it
no
wasn't even
cap
an
cut.
iPhone. Yeah, it wasn't even
Yeah,
an
it
iPhone,
was
right?
the
It's like
handheld. My dad used to have a handheld.
yeah, right. And it's that. And then now it's just, you could take out your phone, record a BP, post it, whatever the case is, go to this showcase, go to that showcase, go to this. So, like, there's really less excuses, right? There's like less
Oh
excuses.
yeah.
There's more education, trainers like ourselves, we've been through that. And then we were trained by people who've been through that part, so it's like,
Hmm.
it's definitely the best time now to just be recruited or get to the next level. Now it's a matter of you, right? It's a matter of the individual player putting in the work to get there. So I mean, we could use that to bridge into like where was your start? Like now, you're training, you created 5TP, but even before then, like how does it start? I remember like your time in Ohio, you were in this facility, whatever the case is, started working with players. Like how did that start for you?
So the training started. So I was still playing, and I was training out of method and up Ohio. I was living. My boy let me stay in his house in Akron, Ohio, and so I was training there, and I need a place to hit. So I go to Strike Force Academy, and out of there, the guy was letting me train there. Ken and his son were letting me train out of there. The payoff was I coached the teams, and then it became slowly where I started training. I started doing private lessons, so that I started understanding like that I like doing this and that I knew I wasn't gonna play forever. I kind of accepted it also that I wasn't gonna play in MLB either. I don't think people understand how hard it is to be
Yeah.
not how lucky you have to be. You have to be truly blessed. And I think people take lucky as not being blessed and like lucky taking away skill because there's a lot of there's a whole bunch of Mike Trouts. You just have to do it at the right time. And so I understood that and I started always been a person and growing up with you, right? We always talked about hitting. We always talked about how our fielding was. You were kind of one of my close friends that I could just talk about sports with. You have friends that you talk about other things, and we and you just talk about how working hard and things like that. And I learned I had a gift to teach that. I always used to do it, being captain of teams and leaders, and I had a gift to translate my hitting and what my philosophy was to other people because it never came too easy for me, right? I understood that I had to do certain things and move certain ways. So the majority of people don't hit excellent. So you have to teach that, right? You have to build different ways to teach that for them. And I understood that and that started controlling where my destiny was going and then to transition, right, to 5TP. 5TP started in my dorm room of my senior year. So haven't even stopped playing yet. I have it on Chipotle napkin. I still have the Chipotle napkin. I still have the picture. And I started drawing out the logo, Rinky Dink logo. And it was because I heard a speech in my junior year at Coppin State from Dr. Morgan. And he's talking about you have to take your life and create a purpose. And with that purpose, you become the person you're supposed to be. And for some reason, this logo started speaking to me. I used to go to DR every winter in college with Stefan and a couple of buddies of ours, Grant. And we used to go over there and train in the Canoe Academy. And then I started drawing out the logo even more. And then I said, Stefan, I said, you're going to be a 5TP athlete. I don't even know, wait a minute. It used to be like 5TPD, like, and then the kids shortened it for me. But that was always in me. It just was waiting for me to stop playing. And
Yeah.
I started realizing that because I drew this logo out before I even stopped playing. I was doing it in my head. It was planning for the future without even knowing. So I started off in Ohio, do my thing. I had a player development. I'm loving it there. Like I had no complaints. Like as you said earlier, nobody thought I'll be back. Like nobody in
Mhm.
the closest. My mom thought I'll never be back. And I get a phone call from my brother, and he's like, "Dude, I need you to come back home. There's a group of kids here that really need you." And I I started the social media. It was very small, and they're like, "They really need you. You do a great job." I was like, "Ah, I'll think about it." Blah blah. I was very comfortable. I had the house. Just had my dog Metro. I just got him from the shelter. Very calm, relaxing lifestyle that I like. It's just like I have parking. When you get older, you start realizing how important just having a parking spot is. I was like, I can't leave this park. And then I was
Yeah.
building up I was becoming head of player development. They trusted me so much. I learned so much that I was just going around watching games, helping other coaches out. It felt good. And then Stefan calls me. He's like, you got to come home. I need you. We got to train together. I got to get ready for the season. So there goes the second phone call. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then Ernie calls me. Said, you got to come home. The city needs you. Like, you've been so long, blah, blah. And like you said before, nobody had thought I was ever coming back.
Mhm.
And then I sat down with my close friend Arthur and who I was living with. I said, something's telling me that I need to do this. And he's like, do what you gotta do and don't worry about it. He's like, it's gonna be okay. And that same day I packed my car up. I beat up Honda again. Me and her were on the road again from Ohio back home. And it's been what, 6 years now? Five, six
Yeah.
years?
It doesn't feel like it. It's crazy how
It
much time
doesn't feel like
flies.
it. Yeah,
Like I
I
felt like
came
I'm
right
telling
from
you,
2019.
yeah, no, it feels like yesterday that I'm talking to you. I'm like, bro, like when are you gonna come back? You know? So
so
yeah,
so
time
yeah,
definitely
that's
flies, bro.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing for sure. It's
And
kind of incredible, like the brand, how quickly the brand has grown and how successful like the organization is doing for sure. And
you
true to
know,
the mission.
it's I love it, not because I created it. It's the people that represent it and the people that help us, right? I have you, like, without you, and I know you're not gonna take it, but without you, a lot of things don't happen with 5TP, right? I have my brother who's everybody thinks I'm the face, like the brains behind it all is him. Like he's the one handling everything that's non-baseball related, and that's, as you know, more important than the
Yeah.
baseball. And I have just, in order for this to work, it's just believing in it, believing in the mission. And there's gonna be I think now thinking about it more, it comes from my baseball, where I know there's gonna be a lot of tough days, but the better days are gonna outshine them a lot more. And I get to walk around the park, and the kids know me, and it's based off knowing me, that I'm the type of person that's gonna help them. I when we were growing up, it was just us. We there was coaches, but they weren't as available, and it was just us kids. If you wanted to practice, you had to call your buddy and be like, "Hey, let's go to the park. Let's train
Yeah.
by ourselves." We're just hitting the baseball, not getting any training. Where now it's like I get to see them, I get to be part of their lives, and I'm helping them get better, and they don't have to rely on themselves. If we didn't we had one trainer everybody would go to, and then that closed down, and what? So now we're just left on learning on our own, basically, and what did we really know as 16-year-olds? We didn't
Yeah.
know anything. There wasn't no social media to learn a swing. Instagram just started. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's how old we are. Instagram just started,
Yeah.
and we are just swinging our own, throwing our own, no drive line. So now that I get to walk and these kids understand that this is when they look at me, when they see the logo, when they understand that there's people involved that care. I have just Mondays at the Domes with Frank, JD, you, Robbie, myself. Jason comes around just like that's that right there. And then we have the teams and Ernie's there and then a couple other coaches. It's like that is building something that's sustainable for the kids, not for like obviously I get to reap some benefits, but my benefits is watching when four of my kids committed this year. It's like okay, and they're part of the first team ever. It's like okay, that feels better than anything else. I
Yeah.
got guys in freaking. I talked to John LeGrande and Marcus Smith, and I'm watching Adonis Guzman on TV in Arizona. I'm just like, this is the stuff that makes it worthwhile. If ITP isn't, I'm on purpose. I didn't call it the Montano Academy, right? I didn't call it Lance Baseball Club because it's not
Baseball.
about
Yeah.
me. Yeah, it's not about me. It's about everybody. If you're down to get better, then oh my lights are turned off. Damn, that's weird. All right, hopefully I'm not too dark. But
No, you look good.
if
You
you
look fine.
if you're down to get better, then this is where you need to be at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ultimately, to wrap things up a little bit, like what are three things that you would share to, let's say, like your younger self or to another player who's, a lot of these kids that we're working with are somewhat following the same path, right? Like they're growing up in inner cities, they're attending inner city high schools. They want to go play college ball, they want to play pro ball. What are three things that you would tell them that would definitely help them get on that path? Or even, three lessons that you've learned in your journey, in your young journey.
I'll do both because I really think it's important. There's different for what I'll tell myself, my younger self, is that there's different stages in life and you just have to be prepared for them, right? You don't have to be super successful early on. Just have to be ready. Don't ever just wait and then hope, and never be ready for it, right? It's for me, for if I was tell my younger self, believe in yourself. Right? I thought, can you hear this printer or no?
No, 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 I don't hear.
Okay. Um, if I could tell my younger self, it's like, believe in yourself, trust. My whole life they were saying when I was younger, oh, you're too big for your body. Too. And I look at pictures of myself when I was in high school. I was not big at all. I just was. I didn't understand what I was doing. I could have easily just learned nutrition, and I could have been even stronger than I was. And so lessons I'll tell myself is, trust the process. I know it's a repetitive term said all the time, but Rome wasn't built even in 100 years. Rome took 1,000 years to be built, and it's torn down and it still looks beautiful, right? It's the beauty in the work where I learned that as I got older. Like I loved the off season. Like if I didn't do a good off season, I was scared because I knew I wasn't prepared. I may have still had a good season, but I wasn't prepared. If I failed and I did had a great off season, I could say, all right, I prepared, something just went off. But if I didn't prepare and I had a bad season, nobody blame but myself. It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't get myself ready for it. And so younger self, that's all you gotta do is and then as my stages as I kept getting older in different stages, understand your role. So that will lead into what I'll tell kids is understand your role. Just because my four hitter hits home runs doesn't mean that's your role as the eight hitter. And you could find just success into everything part of your aspect. The marks of a good player is doing his role very well, right? If you're a guy right now and your role can always change. That's what your role can always change. So doing your role well and then changing and adapting with the role. If you're a guy who's an 8 hitter and you feel like you deserve to be 5'6", be very good at the 8. That means get on base. You should be able to move those feet. So try to move to second. Play tremendous defense. You have to play great defense because hitting comes and goes. The best hitters go cold, but defense is the only thing you can control. Defense is the only thing that you should be close to 1,000 in. Guys win Gold Gloves because they 999, 998. There's never been anybody above 500. Well, Ted Williams, right? But 500 of hitting, which was a one guy, and that's something that's never gonna be done again, right? And now our best is maybe 3. You'll be lucky if you get 20
Yeah,
guys at
350.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the highest is 315, Acuna 320 maybe, or Luis Ariz.
Hmm.
So you don't have to be a home run guy. You could be gap to gap guy. You could be put the butt down and steal. There's 3, and this is like a golden nugget that only guys who work for me know this. So now everybody's gonna get it. There's 3 type of guys, and I learned this in JUCO. You're either an RBI guy, a runs guy, or runs an RBI guy. This guy gets paid the most because he could do both. This guy and this guy better do it every single time. So what that means is you're the guy who drives in the runs. So you're like me. I don't steal. I'm pretty much first to third. I'm 2 bags, right, at a time, maybe 1. And I still ran pretty fast. I ran a 6'8". I know people get confused about that, but flying. When you start getting older, flying is 6'5", 6'4". Those 6'6". That's a fast guy.
Yeah.
Everything above 6'7" isn't really fast. So you're that guy. So you're RBI guy. Understand your role. We're going back to understand your role. RBI guy. Runs guy. That means you need to learn how to get on base. You need to learn how to walk. You need to learn how to get hit by pitch. Kids, you guys don't like to get hit by pitches. And in college, there's practice just for getting hit. Just getting hit by the machine because now you're on base. So when you're a runs guy, you need to find any possible way to get on that base and start running around those bases. Steal second, dirt ball reads, timing off the pitcher, timing off the catcher. Those things is what a run guy does. Now, you want to be the third guy. RBIs and runs guy. You try to be the third guy, right? Those are your outstanding. That's your Bryce Harper, your Mike Trout, your Byron Buxton, right? But the thing with all those 3 guys is that they have to play defense. You have to play defense. I know it's not practice as much, but there's not a single guy in MLB like that realistically that cannot play defense. If they choose to, that's dependent. But they play a tremendous defense, and then the game is fast. The game is
Yeah.
very fast, and it needs to be played fast. So once you start getting there, you have to be ready for it. Pitchers, you got to get your velo up. That is true. And then you got to learn how to be smart, right? You can't just do whatever you want out there, right? The older you get and the smarter hitters get, it gets very difficult. Hitters will get themselves out, but if you let them, they will destroy you. And so that's something I feel like pitchers really need to understand. If you have, and with all the technology in the world, you have to understand, use it. If you think you throw a slider and the machine's telling you don't, why would the machine doesn't have any feelings? It will not lie to you. So
Yeah.
change what you're doing. That's all right. You don't have to throw a slider. You don't throw a good one. So we just move on to another pitch. And you watch big leaguers, which I don't understand why youth players don't do it. You watch a guy like Spencer Strider. In all realism, like, does he really need to add a curveball to his arsenal? No. Was he still going to get 200 strikeouts this year if he didn't add a curveball? Yes. Did he see the necessity to win in the playoff level adding another pitch? Yes. So that's why he does it. The numbers are telling him, listen, you're going to get away with this throughout the season. Now, when it comes to pro season where hitters are more concentrated and not as tired, their heart rate is elevated because of situation, you need to go to something else besides your fastball. And so I don't like that we try to disconnect a big leaguer's mindset to a youth mindset, because that's the goal. If your goal doesn't mean that you're going to get there, but if your goal is not to strive to get there, then you're just not trying to reach the highest potential. That is the highest of baseball, is to get there. So my goal is to be there. If I'm working a job, my goal is to be the CFO, CEO, because then now I'm gonna work in
Yeah.
that direction like that. So for pitchers, we need to stop being so stubborn with this is my way and it's worked. It's only worked for 12, 13, 14 year baseball, and then you face the K's Natties, and you're facing guys who are going to be on TV in a couple of years, and it's like, this doesn't work. We need to
Yeah.
throw different pitches. We need to throw different things at different accounts. And lastly, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love the game of baseball. If you look yourself in the mirror and you say you love it, and you play until your heart desires. You play until somebody has to take the cleats off of you. I played, the COVID took the cleats off of me. And that's
Yeah.
because I loved it so much that I thought, and I know my love needs to be directed towards the youth and training. But you have to love what you do in this game, because it is a mental game. I know they say, what is it, 90% physical, 10% mental. I think at this point they should flip it around, because kids are more physical these days. It's just that their mental is not there. And this game has now become 90% mental. I watch on TV and I watch these sliders moving 17 inches. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would
Yeah. Yeah.
never touch that. What was it, Yu Darvish at the
Mm-hmm.
Soul series, and he threw a two-seamer to Freddie Freeman? who who's hitting that? Like, that
Yeah.
only a
Yeah. Yeah.
big leaguer do that. So you have to fall in love with the game and see that craziness is only love, because only a crazy person would love that, right? There's I forgot who created it, but there's a skills to talent level meter, right, for sports, where what takes more talent and what takes more skill. And baseball's on the end of skill, because you can't be 6'4" and guarantee me that you're going to hit very well. You can't. You could be 5'10", you could be 5'8", right? In basketball, you're 6'8", you're 7 foot. We teach you a couple other things, you're going to be very good, right? Not taking away their skill level, but the talent exceeds the skill.
Yeah.
Track, you're the fastest guy there. Now we just teach you form, and now you get to take over, right?
Mhm.
Baseball, there is no size difference. And I always used to hang out with you, and I never really told you, but you're just like the type of guy, you're obviously a shorter guy, but you never even complained about that, right? You never used that as a crutch. Like, oh, if I was 6 feet, well, you just went to work. And that's all you could do, is like, this is what God gave me. Let's go to work with it.
Yeah.
There's no excuses in baseball. Like I said, like we were talking about, there's no excuse, especially now. Use social media correctly. That I'll end it right there with that. Because use social media correctly. You guys are in the age of social media goodness, where you don't know, you could post a video, and next thing you know, you're going to the best school possible for you for free. Don't do stupid things. I know people, and they wasted their time believing that that it was forever and social media wouldn't hurt them. And on the flip side, also, don't be discouraged by social media. You're gonna see guys throwing 100. You're gonna see guys throwing 99, and you're gonna see, like, I love the great kid Miguel Sign. That is a great kid who works hard, and he throws very hard, and he still doesn't use it against people, right? He doesn't use social media badly. He uses that, and he knows everybody. He talks to everybody. So don't use the social media to create a personality and create images of people, and create images of yourself where you feel like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Anytime you step in the box, it's time to go, right? It doesn't matter who's there. It's time to go. It's time to play the game. My best versus your best, and we just play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man, I appreciate it, Brian. And this is ultimately I wanted to use this as a project to do exactly what you're doing, but it'd be cool to get you back on and just chop
Of
it up and
course.
talk baseball.
Of course.
But
I could do
I,
baseball all day.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could talk about it all the time. But yeah, man, I would say, man, I mean, we've been really good friends for a long time. Brothers. So I'm definitely excited that you're back home because, like, I didn't think you're ever gonna come back home, but I'm also excited to see like what's in store for 5TP. I think the city needs, the city does need us. The city needs guys like
Yeah.
you, the talent that you're producing, the level that they're playing. You're staying true to the mission. So I'm definitely looking forward to what the next couple of years have in store for you.
We are also excited for that too, and there's a lot of great things coming. Just like a little sneak of it. Just the expansion of teams. I feel like is very necessary, but the smart way, right? It's also not going to be. It sticks true to the mission. You have to be in love with baseball and have to have a passion. This is not. We're not a program for part-time players, guys who. And there's nothing wrong. That's what you like to do. You go on vacation during the summer. That's what for our guys is. There's no vacation in summer. You better go in December, right? You better go on that winter break because once high school finishes, we start practice right away. We practice 3 4 times in a week. We have a PBR day. We lead to tournaments. So this not a program for part-time players, and it will show you, right? I have Lennox Rondon, the dude. You can't get him off the baseball field. He will show up at any time. Danny Almanzar, right? Top player, but the kid just knows how to work. One of my kids, Darling, he went from a guy who wasn't really good his freshman year. He wasn't good. He worked with D at All Hallows, and then he worked his way through, won most improved, and now he just signed to go play at Penn State Alberton, and he didn't see that happening 4 years ago. And
Yeah,
and it's not like I just explained there. It's not talent. It's guys who are willing to go after. Darling has lost like 50 pounds and gotten his arm way better because there's no part-time players in this organization. It's full-time, ready to go. That's why I work with you. That's why I work with Frank. That's why I work with JD, Robbie, my brother. These are all guys that take like this is personal. We're going to work.
yeah. No, and it definitely shows, bro.
Yeah.
So I'll see you
Yeah.
soon. I appreciate you tapping in,
Yes,
and then
sir.
we'll get you on, and I'll get on yours soon.
Yeah, yeah. Throw him a bucket soon with Ryan. It's gonna happen. And Mount. I'm supporting Mount this year. I got a lot of guys over there, so I'll be out there.
All right, bro. Thank you. I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
brother. No problem. Have a good night.